Yay, here they all come.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this Education USA presentation. This presentation is about applying to a U.S. institution, and we have 4 representatives from universities to talk with you today. And let me get started and share my screen.
Meanwhile, I'll be introducing myself. Meu nome é Jefferson Couto, eu sou orientador da rede EducationUSA e é um prazer ter vocês aqui hoje e poder apresentar para vocês essas universidades. Eu quero pedir para vocês manterem o microfone de vocês, né, todos os participantes, manterem o microfone de vocês no mudo, tá, para não interferir. E, claro, as perguntas, na medida que vocês tiverem, podem colocar no chat, eu vou acompanhando e no final a gente vai ter um tempo para responder essas perguntas. Tá? Para esclarecer só, meu nome é Jefferson Couto, eu sou orientador dessa rede EducationUSA. Nós estamos presentes em mais de são mais de 170 países com escritórios, são mais de 430 escritórios espalhados no mundo. Aqui em Brasília, o nosso escritório funciona dentro da Casa Thomas Jefferson. Muitos de vocês ficaram sabendo dessa apresentação hoje através da Thomas, e eu quero, enfim, meu desejo é que vocês possam realmente aproveitar ao máximo, tá, tudo que esses diretores de admissão têm para falar para vocês. Tá? Querendo esclarecer mais informações, entrem em contato conosco no EducationUSA, nas nossas redes sociais, procurem por nós através do @EducationUSA Brasília ou através da Casa Thomas Jefferson, que vocês também conseguem nos encontrar. Okay? Laurie just did this quick short introduction. Please feel free, the floor is yours. Thank you once again for being here and, well, enlighten us, please.
All right, great. Well, thanks for having us. We're going to get started here with our presentation about applying to a U.S. institution. We have 4 representatives here, as I mentioned, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Allen. I am the program manager for Latin America at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona. Thanks for having me.
And again, my name is Lori Groman. I represent Ohio University.
Boa tarde, todos. Meu nome é Jamel Paleta. I'm with Arizona State University and I'm an international recruitment coordinator here.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Gary Laruta, sou representante da West Virginia University. Obrigado.
Okay, so the general overview of our presentation is that we're going to talk about application requirements, general expectations from universities, and then we're each going to highlight our universities so you know a little bit about where we come from. And then we will take questions from you guys. See.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the general application requirements. Most students are going to see that universities will require GPA requirements, they'll require 3 years of schoolwork, and then there's also competency requirements. So competencies are there are certain classes that we request for students to have in order to be able to start university. So it's usually about 4 years of math or 3 years of laboratory science. This can be a little bit different for each university, same with the GPA requirements. And just one thing to note out of this whole presentation, each one of us here, our universities all have different requirements, same with every other university within the US. So it may be a 3.0 GPA needed to be able to gain admission to ASU, but let's say maybe NAU or Stanford or any other university might have a different requirement. So just keep that in mind while we continue to present about these.
Okay, so when we look at education credentials, we're talking about the transcript from your high school or your university. So if you attend a high school in Brazil, You might attend a national school that has the national curriculum. And as you apply to the US universities, we understand the Brazilian curriculum, and we will evaluate you based on the merit that you have there. You might also come from an international school, and those curriculum can be anything from Cambridge, AP, IB. I've seen American and Canadian diploma schools and other random curriculum. And what we can do again is evaluate you against other students that share the same curriculum. So we educate ourselves about these different styles of education and review you accordingly. Just a sec, I have to admit some people. Some universities will be open enrollment. Some universities have selective admission. So open enrollment is for universities and colleges that basically, if you have graduated from high school, that's really all they need to see. They don't care what kind of GPA you have. They don't require any kind of test scores, and an application equals admission. Other universities have selective admission, and this can be anywhere from highly selective, like Harvard or Stanford, or it could be like Yamel said, where they require a 3.0. My university requires about a 2.8 on a 4.0 scale. When we receive your transcript, if it's not in English, please provide a translation. That really helps us. We don't always have a Portuguese-speaking person in our office. And then some universities will evaluate your transcript internally, and some might require an external evaluation. So what you'll want to do is go to the university's website and find out what they do. We do internal evaluations, so we don't require anything else, but some schools might want you to do that. And then you'll also want to consider if the university requires an official transcript versus unofficial. So the official would be a transcript in an envelope that is sealed by the institution, the high school or university, and that's required for admission. Other universities might require just a transcript from you. Doesn't need to be mailed to us. It can be emailed. And just to make things easier, it can be from you, from your high school counselor. And then, so you'll just want to check with every university about what they require.
All right. So as you are preparing to apply to a US institution, one thing, of course, that you have to keep in mind is your English level. This should be expected, and different institutions have different tools to assess the proficiency of your English level. To meet such requirements, you have different tools available, or different means through which you are able to provide as such proof of proficiency. There are tests available, and there are different ones that each institution may consider depending on the institution itself. One of them, and perhaps the most popular one, is the TOEFL test. The TOEFL test can be either taken from your computer or at a specific center or in person. This is, again, the most common test available. It's based or designed for those students that are trying to apply for university here in the United States. Another one would be IELTS, and the reason why I highlight the nature of the test regarding TOEFL being designed for US institutions is that other tests, for example, like IELTS or Pearson, are designed based on British curriculum. This, of course, is a little bit different. Nonetheless, they are designed by a different system. In a way, these two are accepted commonly at different universities here. Again, you would have to check with the institution itself to see which one of these is a valid option for you. Perhaps the test that is growing in popularity these days is Duolingo, though, due to the fact that you can take Duolingo from the comfort of your home, especially now given the restrictions imposed in different regions regarding COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So Duolingo has become a great option for students to meet this English proficiency requirement. It is also, to my understanding, less expensive than the others. So this is again an option available to you. But again, as I had mentioned with previous tests, you would have to contact the university of your interest to see if Duolingo is an option available to you or something that would be validated. Another option that you have is taking the SAT or the ACT. Now, these two tests are not necessarily English proficiency focused. These tests are actually required for those students that graduate from high school here in the States. So they assess other areas such as math, reading, etc. So for that matter, you do have the option to take either of these. As a matter of fact, some universities might require you to take the SAT or the ACT as an international student. Some others might not. West Virginia University does not require the SAT. Again, though, if you choose or you have the ability to take this test and this one is available to you, I would highly encourage anyone to take this one, as allows different universities to see not only your English level, but your math level as well. In addition to any of these tests available, many institutions may have some sort of intensive English program to admit students conditionally. Let's say for whatever reason you do not meet the minimum score required for the TOEFL. However, and based on certain circumstances, the university might be willing to admit you or take you so that you can proceed with your onboarding process and take these classes to level you up to then, of course, be able to fully be admitted into your program. Again, you would have to check availability of these programs with the institution of your interest. Online and local resources. As I had mentioned, due to COVID-19 restrictions, a lot of the tests have been looking into making these ones available to you online. So I would definitely check the websites of each of these ones, depending on the one that you would like to take. Additionally, I would also check with the local resources such as EducationUSA, even any department within a US embassy or consulate that works with education in your region. They might know where you can take the SAT or the ACT or TOEFL, etc. May this be an option available if restrictions allow. Now, how do you provide us the scores from all these tests? Typically, each of these tests will have a platform or a page through which you'll be able to directly either enter the name of the university or a code of each of our institutions, and the scores should be transferred to us electronically. These enable us to not just expedite the process of reviewing your score, but also gives us the peace of mind that regarding the legitimacy of the origin of the score itself. If you have any doubts, more than welcome to contact any of us here. We will be providing our contact information shortly. Expiration dates. Be mindful of expiration dates. Just because you took the TOEFL test 5 years ago, for example, doesn't mean this one is still valid. The same is applicable for the rest of the tests. So please be mindful and check the expiration date or time frame for which each of these ones might be valid for. Thank you.
Great. So along with your application, your GPA, other education credentials, and your English scores, some institutions will have additional requirements. My colleagues, such as Gary, have already touched a bit on the SAT and their sections. But just a reminder that none of the schools represented here today require the SAT for admission. However, some schools do. So to give you some more information about the SAT, it is an exam that's meant to assess what you have learned in high school and what you need in order to succeed in the university. The best way to prepare for the SAT is to take challenging courses while in high school, do homework, prepare for quizzes and exams, adopt good study habits, and be curious. Ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of practice tests and preparation courses online. You can learn more about the test at the website indicated here on the slide, collegereadiness.collegeboard.org. While many schools have recently waived this requirement of the SAT due to the testing difficulties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, you can expect that many schools may reinstate the SAT as a requirement for admission in the next school year. Other possible admission requirements, and these are especially true for those of you that are looking to pursue graduate level programs like a master's or a doctorate degree, are personal statements and letters of recommendation. While a lot of what we've touched on so far is very relevant to undergraduate, it also may apply to graduate level studies, and some of the requirements, the second and third bullet point here, are very common requirements for graduate programs. So for a personal essay, be sure to have a few people, which should be your personal contacts, review your final submission and provide constructive feedback, proofread for correct grammar and language usage. A high school English teacher or a guidance counselor that's proficient in the language would be a good choice. And when requesting letters of recommendation, ask people that know you well. You may want to consider asking a teacher who's seen you excel in his or her classroom, a leader of an organization that you volunteered with, or a supervisor if you've had a job. It's helpful to these people if you provide them with information on where you're applying, why, and what you think they could mention in their letters that might make the writing process easier for them and also mean a stronger recommendation for you.
Okay, some other special requirements to the application might depend on the major that you're interested in. So if you're interested in some sort of performing art major like dance, theater, or music, you'll likely need to do an audition. And I know for our school, we understand that you can't come flying up here and spend one day just performing. So usually it's done through Skype or some other virtual means. If you're interested in something like art, media, journalism, film, photography, you might need to submit a portfolio. So this would be a group of your work that you would share with the professors. And a lot of times this can be done virtually as well. Engineering majors, STEM majors usually require you to have some strong background in science and math. So keep that in mind. And then sometimes it's just a strong GPA that a school might be looking for something like sport management, business, or media arts.
Okay, and so for extracurriculars, there is going to be a lot for this. So clubs and organizations, you have social and professional. So I'm sure you guys have heard of, for example, sororities and fraternities. They have some that are, academic focused, and then they also have some that are more social focused. We also have residential colleges, religious organizations, and student coalitions. Before I get into that, I just want to touch on clubs. So every university has their own set of clubs, but if you get yourself, like let's say you go to ASU and you started looking into the clubs and you don't see anything that interests you, or maybe there's something that you're interested in, but they don't have a club for it yet, you and a group of friends can get together and get an advisor to sign on it, and then you guys can start your own club. So for example, at ASU, we have over 1,800 different clubs, whether that's, those social ones or whether it's more on the academic or professional side. And residential colleges. So if you guys are coming in as a first-year freshman, some universities will make it a requirement, some don't. But for example, at ASU, it is required to live in the dorms your first year. And it is a really great experience, not just, to make new friends, but it's also a great way to meet other people with similar interests and those that are in your same college. And so when you're staying in the dorms or the residential colleges, they'll have you guys also live in the same kind of cohorts or groups as your other majors. So if you're a business student, you're going to live with other business students. And then for religious organizations, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Buddhist, there's organizations tailored for you. And if you find something and it's not to your interest, you can go ahead and start your own organization as well. And student coalitions are really a way to get involved and kind of make a change. So it's taking that and doing, going beyond. So for student coalitions, let's say you wanted to get involved in the Asian American Student Coalition or the Brazilian Coalition. You guys can host events, you guys can work together with student council members and make change.
Great. So scholarships, this is a question that I think all of us get a lot. And so as you guys probably already know, scholarship is basically free money given to a student to pay for their college tuition or expenses. Many schools offer scholarship opportunities to international students, but you should always do some research to see what available awards are out there from other organizations or even through your home country, Brazil's Department of Education. So what are some of the scholarship requirements, possibly? They can vary. Some students win scholarships for academic performance, their cumulative GPA or SAT scores, as we've already talked about, writing an essay, participation in extracurriculars like the student clubs or athletics, or simply by expressing financial need. Whatever the case, every scholarship has requirements, which are the qualifications that a student must have in order to win that scholarship. As you're reviewing requirements, also be sure to look very carefully for the deadlines to apply. Upon being awarded a scholarship, be aware that there may also be requirements for the scholarship after you win, meaning you must maintain a certain standing in order to continue to be eligible for that scholarship. This typically involves maintaining a certain GPA, continuing to demonstrate financial need, or staying involved in that extracurricular or sport. Scholarships can be awarded every year that a student is in college, or they can be awarded for just 1 year. Before applying, students should read the fine print on how much is being awarded and for how long, as well as requirements to maintain the scholarship. So here's an example from my university, Northern Arizona University. NAU awards its International Excellence Award, which is $10,000 a year towards the cost of tuition to international students that have at least a 3.0 GPA. There's no formal application process, rather students are awarded provided that they meet the minimum GPA and provided there are funds available, since these scholarships are awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. NAU has rolling admissions, meaning that we review applications throughout the year. However, for graduate programs, there are strict deadlines. It's important to remember that the earlier you apply for the semester you want to start, the more likely you're able to receive the scholarship. This award's renewable for up to 4 years, but in order to keep the scholarship, you must maintain that 3.0 GPA and complete an approved community service requirement each semester.
Sorry. All right. So when reviewing the process to come to or to apply to a university in the United States, one thing that you should keep in mind is, of course, all financial considerations. As Christine had mentioned, beyond scholarships and such that each institution may be able to provide to you, there are additional items that you should keep in mind. In order to come to the United States and in order to meet all immigration requirements, you will be asked to prove that you do indeed have the financial capability to afford come to a given institution. U.S. immigration law requires that all international students apply for a visa to study in the U.S. and demonstrate the ability to cover the cost of the upcoming academic year at the institution in question. Now, how do we prove, or what tools do we make use of to provide such proof of financial capability? We make use of a document labeled or called the I-20. The I-20 is a document required not by our universities, but by the US government. It's a document that will clearly state your intention for coming to the United States. Let's say so-and-so will be coming to West Virginia University, for example, to study this particular major, and it will be starting classes on this particular date with the projected graduation date of this particular date. So everything has to be very specific. And in this document, it will be displayed the actual cost of your upcoming academic year. Any grants, any scholarships, etc., will be applied to this description or detailed of your finances or the financial expectations. And then you will have to prove that you do have the assets to meet such financial demands. You will be asked by a given institution to provide certain documents like bank statements or any documents that would validate any liquid assets that you may have, either you or your parents, if they were to be the ones paying for your education, or a given institution or a company that might be sponsoring your studies here. All this information through this I-20 is submitted to the US government through a system called CIVIS. They review the document, and if approved by the US government, again, not really by our institutions, the approval of this one is sent back to us. Once we have that approved I-20, we notify the student. We either will mail you or email you or send you a copy of this official I-20. And at that point is when you will be able to schedule your meeting either at the US Embassy or a consulate to start working on your visa. The reason is whenever you go to your meeting or your appointment with a consular at the US Embassy or a consulate, they will want to have all this information beforehand. So it is very important that this I-20 is approved before you actually move on to that step.
All right, thank you, Gary. We're going to go on to our university highlights, and first up is Arizona State.
Thank you. All right, so for Arizona State University, for those of you guys that don't know, we are located in Tempe, Arizona. We're just south of NAU, and ASU is one of the largest universities in the US. We're also top 10 university chosen by international students. We do have a pretty large international population. We have about 12,200 plus international students from 135 different countries. We have tons and tons of undergraduate programs. We have over 300 undergraduate programs. We also have an amazing amount of grad programs and PhD programs if you guys are interested in that as well. We also have 4 different campuses. So Tempe being our biggest campus, but we also have 4 campuses all within the Metro Phoenix area. We're also about a 6-minute drive from the airport, which is convenient for those of you guys that are just taking a shuttle ride or taking the light rail. One thing I'd like to note, just some stats, we're a top 1% of world's most prestigious universities. We're number 1 in the US for global impact and number 5 in the world. And we are ranked top in the US, 5th in the world pursuing UN sustainable goals. So if you guys have heard anything about ASU, I'm sure you guys have heard the slogan, we're number 1 in the US for innovation. And we have been that for 5 years in a row now. And I'd just like to touch on innovation a little bit in case you guys would have that question. So innovation comes in different shapes and forms. And so whether that is our 33 Buckets program, if you'd like to look that up on YouTube, we have a really great video featuring that. It was a student that created a way, he went to Peru and he created a way to cleanse water to help those in remote areas to be able to have clean water. So whether it's coming up with great ideas like that or something, you know, on a smaller scale, we all have the resources to help you guys and provide you guys with all the help that you need to make that happen. Thank you.
And again, I'm Lori. I represent Ohio University. Ohio University was established in 1804, so we have a long-standing tradition in education in the US. We are a public research institution, so what that means is that our professors are actively engaged in research of their own. And what that means for our students is that they can be a part of that research, or they could add to it. It's a great way to get hands-on experience. We have 17,000 students on our campus, and about 10% of those are international students. We have 250 majors, so whatever you're interested in studying, we probably have it. And we're located in the eastern part of the US, where we have 4 seasons. And so we have mild winters and fall. Our or spring and fall, sorry. Our winters are cold and snowy, so we do get snow, and our summers are hot and humid. We are a small college town. It's very safe, very secure, and we were voted the most affordable college town. So that's one thing to think about when you are considering where you want to go to college.
All right, West Virginia University. Again, my name is Gary Laruda, and I am actually from Bolivia in South America. And I came here as a student long time ago. So I know what it's like to be an international student at West Virginia University. And for that reason is that I make part of the admissions team now here at this institution, as I truly believe it's a good option for international students. Here are just some pictures to highlight what our campus looks like. And one of them, you'll be able to see a map where we highlight where we are located. We are on the East Coast of the United States, roughly about an hour from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania and about 3 hours from Washington, D.C. So we are not too far from major metropolitan areas on this coast. We are part of the top 3 of the best universities in the world. We offer over 130 different undergraduate programs and over 200 programs at a master's and PhD, in addition to an intensive English program for those who might be interested in that. We are a Division I school, meaning all our teams are highly competitive. You can see a picture of our stadium there, a capacity of 60,000 people. We got a pretty good football team, pretty good soccer team, etc. We actually have a couple of Brazilians in our swimming team. I believe they have participated in different categories in the Olympics before for Brazil, and now they get to swim for their university. So again, it's highly competitive. We do offer scholarships for athletes, complete scholarships. So if anyone would be interested in that, please reach out. My email is displayed on the chat box. We have 11 different residence halls. As someone had mentioned before, on your first year or as a freshman at the university, you are required to reside in one of our residence halls. That being said, we have different options available to you, from apartments to rooms that you get to share with a roommate. We do have scholarships that are merit-based. These ones start from a GPA of 3.0 for $5,000, GPA of 3.25 for $6,000 a year, and with a GPA of 3.5, we offer $7,000 a year. Just to mention, the grading system that we use here, at least at West Virginia University, is 1, 2, 4, just to give you some context. When applying to the university, everything can be done online. It's very simple. We do take the Common App. However, I would highly suggest anyone interested in West Virginia University to complete the West Virginia University application. It's much more simple. You do not have to complete an essay. We do not require additional information that is asked for in the Common App. Also, if you contact me, I'll be able to provide you a waiving code so that you don't have to pay for the West Virginia University application, which has a cost of $65. But again, if you contact me, I'll be able to waive the cost as a courtesy that since you are being part of this webinar today. When completing the application online, you'll be able to provide us any required information that we may need, copies of your transcripts or self-reported grades, and any score that you may have for any English test that you would have taken, the TOEFL, IELTS, Pearson, Duolingo, etc. Any of these ones. You do not have to provide to us any original copies of the documents required. You can just submit PDFs through the cloud that we have available. Again, my contact information is listed there at the bottom of my email, so please feel free to contact me. May you have any questions, either for undergraduate admissions, graduate, or the intensive English program itself. Thank you.
Okay. So NAU, another Arizona school here today. NAU is located in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a little more than 2 hours north of Arizona's capital, Phoenix. And that is where, as Yamel mentioned, our international airport is located. Flagstaff is nestled in the largest contiguous pine forest in the world and located at 7,000 feet, just over 2,100 meters in elevation. Having said this, Flagstaff has a very different climate than the rest of the state of Arizona. We receive more than 5 million visitors per year and are known as the City of Seven Wonders. Flagstaff boasts access to 7 national parks and monuments between 80 to 130 kilometers away, including Grand Canyon National Park, which is just over an hour away. Flagstaff is a top 10 college town in the United States with a unique mountain culture, and the only place in the state of Arizona with the 4 seasonal changes, which means in the winter, we do get snow. It's an ideal place to live for anyone that enjoys the outdoors, with excellent areas for activities like hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing, skiing, and snowboarding. NAU is one of 3 public state universities in Arizona. ASU, as you have already heard from my colleague Jamel, is one of them. And while we are the smallest of the 3, we are considered a medium-sized university with just over 22,000 students. Out of those 22,000, 1,300 are international students from over 80 countries, and they choose NAU because of our reputation for high-quality education. NAU has over a 100-year history as a hub of scientific research and was recently ranked as a top 200 research institution by our National Science Foundation in the US. On this slide, you'll see some of our top programs, specifically our hospitality program within our School of Hotel and Restaurant Management is number 4 in the US and number 7 in the world. Mechanical engineering program is ranked among 38 in the US, and in other world rankings, NAU is number 40 for archaeology, 29 for linguistics, that's a very, very strong program, and 82 for material science. And from a cost standpoint, NAU is the number 10 most affordable college in the US. NAU is also one of the most scenic university campuses in the country, as you can see here. And for this reason and others, one of our key differentiators is access students have to unique learning environments. This means that when you come to NAU, you won't just be in the classroom, you'll be in the field, you'll be in labs, and you'll be getting real world experience that you're going to need for your future career. Along with classes and professors, students love their overall experience of life at NAU. Students have academic support through our success centers, access to more than 400 student clubs and organizations. Yamel talked about that earlier, as well as access to state-of-the-art recreational and aquatic centers. And if you can't make it out to eat on campus at more than 27 restaurants, then one of these cool little robots that you see here in the middle of the screen, the Starship robots, can actually deliver a meal to you at your residence hall, at the library where you're studying, or anywhere else on campus. So you can learn more about international admissions by visiting the website that's listed here, nau.edu/CIE. And if you email me directly, as Gary had also mentioned, I can waive your admissions application fee as well. So I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Great, thank you everyone for that information. We're going to move forward now to questions. So students, participants, you guys out there, please go ahead and write your questions in the chat box and we'll go through those. Meanwhile, I'm going to throw up our information here. So if you want to screenshot this or write down our contact information, you'll have it handy. But let's go to the questions. All right, looks like we have some here.
Yes, I see you asked about the aerospace engineering program. So every college is going to have different requirements. I'm going to drop a link in the chat box. With this link, if you click it and you type in any program of your interest, if you type in business, engineering, it'll take you to all of our options, and then you can go in and look at their requirements, because every single one of them is going to be a little bit different.
And then a question about how has COVID-19 impacted international admissions? Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, of course it has, because you know, we have a pandemic, which means we have this worldwide epidemic, and so it's definitely going to impact the number of students that can actually come to campus. At least for this fall, a lot of students are deciding to either defer to the next semester or maybe next year. So if that's a choice for you, you can definitely do that. Anyone else want to share maybe what their universities are doing?
At West Virginia University, we were very proactive at the beginning of the pandemic. And as a result of that, the number of cases in the area is very contained. We have kept our buildings fairly clean, and they have been going through a regular process of again, some cleaning, some very meticulous cleaning process that is monitored by our medical staff. At this point, we have students, we are foreseen to reopen our campus as of August of this year. If anyone would be interested in coming, of course, fall 2021, we are foreseeing that all circumstances will be normal by then. The campus will be fully reopened and such, and it will be safe. It is safe to come to our campus as of now. And we are foreseeing that should be even safer as of fall 2021.
Yeah, I would pretty much reiterate what Gary has said. I think a lot of schools have been trying to take as many proactive measures as possible. NAU is expecting, planning to start classes in fall in person. We are actually starting the semester 2 weeks early so that students will not be coming back to campus after the Thanksgiving holiday, which is at the end of November. So students will be done on campus by the end of November. But we as well have been putting into place, implementing a lot of different procedures in terms of both testing for students as well as making sure that we are providing the right kinds of equipment and making sure classrooms are sanitized and social distancing measures are being put in place as well.
Yep, and just to add to that, ASU has a whole website dedicated to coronavirus, just to let you guys know on a daily basis, kind of like the updates that we're doing. And so we are set to start classes in the fall, and we are working extensively with every student and all of their situations. For example, I just got an email yesterday from a student letting me know that they were able to get an embassy appointment 2 weeks after the start date for fall. So we are working with that student to make sure that they do get to start classes and they are able to have a safe landing in the US and be able to get settled in for their fall semester. So if you guys have any questions specifically related to that, please feel free to email me. I would love to work with you guys and let you guys know what your guys' options would be. If you are interested in applying for the fall semester, even though it is a little bit late, please email me and I will work with you guys, since we are currently doing things a little bit differently just to make the process easier for students. Thank you.
Thanks. There are a lot of questions about different majors at our universities. I would encourage you to use the links that the representatives have provided in the chat to just look them up. So this might be easier rather than addressing them one-to-one. Someone had a question about job opportunities on campus. And with an F1 visa, you can work on campus. It's 20 hours a week when school's in session, and then during breaks, I believe that goes up to 40 hours a week. And I would say most of us have opportunities for students to work. Anyone want to add to that?
For ASU, it is the same. It's 20 hours a week. For our breaks, it goes up to 25 hours a week. So there are lots of opportunities. As we mentioned before, just take a look at our websites or email us and we would be able to give you guys more information.
At West Virginia University, to apply for one of these student jobs available for international students, I would highly suggest you to see this as you are a student first and then you apply for a job. If you try to, for whatever reason, look online and try to see if you can secure a job before even becoming a student, we're just doing things upside down. So you would have to apply to the university, get admitted, come here, meet with your advisor, have your schedule figured out so that then we can know whether or not it would be convenient for you to have a job. The jobs are available, but of course, again, you are a student first and we want to make sure that your academic success is being prioritized above anything else. If you have the time and the willingness to take the jobs that are available at that point, of course, we'll be more than happy to walk you through the process. We have an office that will walk you through all the paperwork that is necessary for you to get paid, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to add to that. Thanks, Gary. I think Gary's spot on when he says that academics is the main reason that you're coming. You want to make sure that you're successful in that first. But there are, I imagine, in all of our universities, ways that you can look for a job once you understand what your availability is. For example, we have an online platform called Handshake. I imagine many of the schools may already know of it or have their own, but that's really a job platform for students to look for available vacancies of jobs on campus. So it is relatively simple to find opportunities on campus. And as Gary mentioned, we do have both our International Student and Scholar Services, which will help you understand the rules and regulations when you're working on campus, especially in terms of maintaining that status of your visa. And then we also have the Career Development Office that can help you with things like getting a resume ready or the application process for a job on campus or elsewhere. Well, not elsewhere, I mean in terms of talking about after college.
Then I saw a question by Leonardo. He's asking about athletic scholarships. So for ASU specifically, I don't know how it is at other universities. We would encourage you guys to reach out to the coaches for the specific, whatever you're interested in. So let's say it's for golf. You would still apply to ASU like any other student, but if you're discussing scholarship opportunities, athletic scholarships, I would say your coach and you would have to reach out to, let's say, the golf coach and see what options are available, since they are, the athletics department are the ones that discuss those options with students.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same at all Division I, which is the top level athletic competition in the US. Your coach needs to talk to the coach of our university teams. The diploma of these universities. So I guess this question is, are the diplomas coming from our universities valid in Brazil? I don't know. I'm not sure which programs you're talking about. So you'll definitely want to explore that to make sure that, say you get a teaching degree at Ohio University, is that going to allow you to teach in Brazil? Does anyone else have a comment about that?
Jefferson might have some input there.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the equivalence of diplomas, right? Here in Brazil, we do have a Ministry of Education, and they have this website put on in which you can understand or better understand how to do the equivalence of diplomas from degrees obtained in other countries other than Brazil. So we can assist you with that. So just come out and schedule a meeting and let's talk about that. We can assist you with that also, so you can better understand and how it works and if it is valid and how we can get that done. Don't worry, we will assist you with that.
Great, thanks Jefferson. Yeah, that would be your go-to person for those kind of questions. Annabelle has a question about GPA and how that works to international students. If you're asking about your high school GPA, we'll evaluate that. I understand that you might not be on a 4.0 scale at your institution. So that's what an evaluator at the university or a third-party evaluator would do, is change the GPA or the values of your grades on your transcript into that 4.0 system. If that doesn't answer your question, feel free to email me personally. And here's another question from Annabelle about 4-year degree programs. or does anyone have any early graduations? So most of ours are 4-year programs. Anyone have any shortened programs, majors?
Even though it is very common for students to graduate in 4 years, as our programs are designed for 4 years, some students may be able to finish their program in 3 years at the earliest. This if they were to stay during summer sessions. Summer at US institutions or summer breaks are quite extended as opposed to what may happen in Brazil or certain other countries south of the equator. That being said, because summer consists of at least 3 months of a break, you have the option of taking classes. This, of course, accelerates the completion of your program, and in some instances, students would be able to graduate in 3 years.
Anyone else? Okay, thanks, Gary. It's good to know. We have a question about working 20 hours a week as a research student, and will that cover living expenses? So this sounds like maybe you're a graduate student, if you're a research student. Basically, if you are working those 20 hours at the dining hall or just an on-campus library job, it is not going to cover your living costs. At least I doubt it, at least not in Ohio, and we have pretty low cost of living. So even when professors hire students, it's really not going to be more than $10 an hour, which 20 hours a week, $200. I mean, that's really going to be enough to cover all of your living expenses, but maybe. Does anyone have anything else?
I wanted, it sounds, if for a research student specifically, that does sound like it's going to be more on the graduate level. If we're talking about a graduate assistantship, and this could be true with all of my colleagues, there are opportunities for partial assistantships at 10 hours a week or full assistantships at 20 hours a week. Generally, when you're a graduate student and you get a full assistantship, that usually means that your tuition is covered and you have a stipend that basically covers all of your expenses. Assistantships at the graduate level are extremely competitive, but we do have international students that secure assistantships each semester. So what it comes down to in terms of a graduate assistantship, you want to first make sure you're contacting the department or the program that you're interested in first to express your interest in the program and really have the conversation start there with the department as to whether or not there are assistantships available and how to apply for those or how to be considered for those. And as Lori mentioned, as an undergraduate student, when you're just working 20 hours on campus, you are generally making minimum wage in the city that you're living in. For Lori mentioned $10 an hour. I think here in Flagstaff, minimum wage is $12. That just is usually congruent with what the cost of living is in each city. If you guys want to add on, please feel free.
I answered the grad question in the chat box just because there's a lot of different grad programs. So I would recommend going to each one of our websites and looking at the grad programs and also emailing them for information and price, since grad programs do vary in price.
Absolutely. Here's a question about special scholarships for Latin American studies or Latin American students. Ours are just general. They're just international scholarships, but does anyone have any scholarships that are geared towards Latin American students?
At West Virginia University, we do not have any scholarships in particular or specific for Latin American students. We have scholarships for international students. But I would highly encourage you to check either with EducationUSA or your local authorities to see if there might be any incentives for students to study overseas, maybe a STEM related field. I know some countries may have scholarships for students that try to study, for example, aerospace engineering or petroleum engineering. So they're trying to invest in their own students, and for that matter, you should be able to find additional resources. Also, it would be a good idea to check with other organizations, such as the Organization of American States. They sometimes have scholarships available for students applying for from countries that are members of the Organization of American States. So that Brazil would be one, of course, for that matter. Same with Mercosur.
Awesome, thanks. Well, I don't see any more questions. Jefferson, do you have anything else that you want to add?
There was one about a double major, and there being any question about whether it be an issue to get a scholarship as a double major. In terms of, I'll just comment on that real quick, that generally being a double major does not affect your availability to get a scholarship. I would think it might actually enhance it, because you may be able to search for scholarships within each department within that major. So, but from a general standpoint for us, if you're being considered for the international scholarship, being a double major is not going to affect your possibility of getting that. Anybody else?
Thank you for catching that. I didn't see that one. Okay.
So I think this is it, right?
Yeah.
Well, there is one last message, just Ethan saying thank you, and well, us all saying thank you, right? So thank you all for being here today, for taking this time to let us know more about the application process, the scholarships that you have, and more about your own institutions. For all the participants that attended this session, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us up to this time. And if you have any further questions, now you have these people contact information directly. You can send them emails and ask them questions, and please use that information to get through your way to admission. Also, Education USA is available. Just let us know whenever you need assistance during your application process. We are available. Please reach out, and we are more than glad to help you and to assist you with all your questions, and also throughout the application process. Anything else, guys?
I think that's all. Thanks for having us.
Okay, thank you. So this session will be recorded, well, has been recorded. And if you want to have access to this, please email Lori, and she will be more than happy to provide. Also, Lori, you can send to me, and whenever people are interested, we'll share this. And this will also be uploaded at our website, educationusa.org.br, where people will have access to it as well. Okay?
Yes.
So thank you for taking this time once again. Thank you for making this happen. And whenever you feel like making a presentation for Brazilian students, please let us know, and our network will be available.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.